It is a loading screen that wanted to make it different. Oof. Oh, I am muted. I am absolutely not muted. Yes. Ah, fair enough. Okay. I think my transition effect was happening. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that, though. Alright, let's get back into it. I'm excited. Today, we finished, or yesterday, we finished part of Shogo Okie's prologue, or we finished the prologue that featured Shogo Okie, and now we are getting into the game proper, so let's start, and let's go in order. So, yeah, let's see if we can do all three. We'll try to do all three today. Not sure how long it's going to take, but should be fun. There we go. I can zoom in and out. That's nice. Are there anything in my files that is new? There's nothing new in my files. Alright, let's go to Harue Shigima. Now, this takes place between... Oh, this place, like, right before Shogo gets his powers. Yeah, it's like right at the same time. So, we'll see what's going on. Okay. Not dreams. Harue Shigima. When the son of Harue Shigima was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. 1 year later, Harue has hired a private investigator to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective at her home, something strange suddenly appears. How much you want to bet that the police involved Tetsue Tsutsumi? Interesting. And I'm wondering if Harue Shigima's child was Yako's age here. But let's go. I don't want to make too many presumptions, so it's just my theory. Ooh. May those who mocks fire's flame perish in flame. Kill them. Kill them. The flame bearers. Kill them all. You have acquired the power of the cursed stone, haunting clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire, or a fire-starting device on their person. Press the use curse button, set your target alight. Alright. Let's go. A murder simple seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Wait, let's see what files we got. On the haunting clappers, an enduring superstition. As the evening bell rings in Iriecho near present-day Shimoku Bridge, a night watchman patrols the dark streets and announces his presence by shouting warnings about fires, all while striking his wooden clappers. But tonight, the sound of another set of clappers answers back. He curiously claps his clappers together again. Clack, clack. The echo answers again, but no matter how hard he searches for the source of his second pair of clappers, he never finds it. Some say it was the work of a mischievous tanuki or kitsune, while others say it was a warning from the spirit of someone who lost their life in a terrible fire. Cursed power kills by burning one who is in possession of a fire or a fire-starting device. Resentful memory, red, red, red. Everything is dyed crimson, my home is burning to the ground, it's so hot. It's hot, so hot. I must call for help, but I cannot speak. My throat must be burned up from the smoke. No, I think I'm already on fire. That's right. I'll just use these clappers. I'll just use the clappers. Clack, clack. Is anybody there? Clack, clack. Why is no one coming? I'm going to burn to death. How did it come to this? Oh, right. Her. It must be the work of that vixen who suddenly appeared and enchanted my lord. That witch. Those hauntingly cold eyes had my lord dancing in the palm of her hand. Perhaps I was also taken in by her. How many innocent people did I lure in under orders? This must be karma, the sound of a heavy bell. It feels like my head will split open. Ah, right. An evening bell. And that must be why nobody can hear the sound of my clappers. I've got to do it louder. Clack, clack. Okay. A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now. Kill. Can you hear it, Curse Bearer? You, who so strongly desires the right. Kill them. Oh. Raccoon, that's kind of creepy if you think about it. Training, and I figured it was... Oh, there's a hole in the ceiling. Okay, I see. I'm sorry, I thought you meant like you were riding along and then suddenly there was a hole in your ceiling and it started pouring rain. But yeah. Ooh, the ceiling leaks and it went directly onto your computer, huh? That sucks. Alright, let's continue. But... Ooh, wow. Yikes. That sucks. Well, you gotta move your computer out of there, my friend. I know that's obvious. I'm sure you would have done so by now. Alright. Richter is speaking. Back with me, man. Ooh. Can't say I understand what just happened. But it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams? After playing Danganronpa for like the last month, seeing an actual attractive woman is nice. Richter, sweet dreams? Harue Shigima, housewife. Person of interest updated. Open the updates page. Harue Shigima, female, housewife. The haunting clappers is her curse echo. Harue is a housewife who resides in a manor near Shamuko Bridge. Her 11-year-old son, Shuichi, was kidnapped and murdered about a year ago. Death was the result of a mistake on the part of a detective assigned to the case, a mistake which enraged the kidnapper and had him cut off all contact with the police, leaving no room for negotiation. The incident was covered up and Shuichi's killer remains at large, leading the aggrieved Harue to call on the services of private investigator Richter Kai to uncover the truth. The Shigima family came from a line of samurai who built their residence in Honjo during the Edo period. They assumed important positions in the police force following the Meiji Revolution, thereby protecting their family's elevated status. Even today, many in the Shigima line work as police bureaucrats and senior police officers. Harue's father sits in the upper echelons of the National Police Agency, and her husband, adopted into the Shigima clan through arranged marriage, is also a highly respected agency official. However, as her family prioritizes work above all else, it wasn't long before Harue's marriage grew cold. Though she wants for nothing, she is isolated from her neighbors and withdrawn from society. Seeing her son grow into a young man gave Harue a purpose in life, but it was cut short by the kidnapping incident. Following the incident, Harue spent many days in a deep depression, breaking into sudden fits of shouting and wandering around in the middle of the night. Her cheerful, loving disposition faded away, and she took to making snide remarks at her husband, which only further soured their relationship. A few months ago, Harue's husband was transferred to another area for work and now rarely returns home, with Harue left to live in the large empty mansion alone. As a housekeeper who has been with the family for a long time comes in to take care of all the housework, Harue has nothing but time on her hands. Well, let's find some vengeance for this woman. No, not dreams. Sounds like something I might want to hear about. Alright, let's think. My heart is still racing. This is it, my chance, at long last. An arrangement of flowers, we bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. It's a stereo. It's a sticker of some kind. Alright, let's keep looking. Stereo. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't one to listen to music often. Let's keep looking. What do we have here? Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up before, well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. I knew it. It's Head Honcho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of the mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town, and soon enough they won everybody's hearts. Story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one ever knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. To think one would turn up here of all places. This is a good sign, I'm sure of it. Oh, well, that's nice. Mockingbird number 1 discovered. Achievement unlocked. Collect your first Mockingbird sticker. Okay, we have some collectibles. These popular Mockingbird mascots seem to pop up everywhere. Nobody knows who the legendary artist is behind these quirky birds, but they quickly became popular for their surreal yet oddly cute designs. Be in the right place at the right time in Honjo, and you might just be able to find all 20 of them scattered around. Legend has it collecting them will bring good luck. Okay, Head Honcho. That one looks kind of cool. I like Head Honcho. Alright. Stereo. Ah. You blast the stereo at your house? Party? That's good. There's nothing else here. There's a television. A color television. Father brought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. This is a... What year does this take place in? When did the TV come out? When did the TV come out? In 1934. Unlike the latest models, there's no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around and marveled at it as family. So she's 30. This is from 1934. So we're in like the, what, 60s? Maybe the 70s? Back when it was new, we all gathered around. Yeah. Gathered around and marveled at it as family. Hey, at least that's a healthy way to relieve stress. Much healthier than like buying a gun. But with father and my husband being away so often, quickly fell into disuse. Alright, there's a clock here. Swinging in the pendulum, it feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually it's just me. A chandelier? Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've seen the Danganronpa anime, the Danganronpa 3 anime. But the second series of that, I don't know, let me find out what it's called. 1 second. Forgot what it's called. Is it The End of Hope's Despair? The End of... Yeah. The End? Or whatever it's called. Season 2. Yeah, but the second series, or the second part of that show is the high school lives of the season 2, or the Danganronpa 2 class. It's pretty good so far. The End of Hope's Peak. That's correct. That's the one. That's what it's called. So like you have to alternate between the two shows to get the whole story, but it's pretty good, and it shows like the evil actions of the remnant, like when they were evil at what point. Okay, so continuing on, the lights. The chandelier is the only thing in here that's my choice. It's my favorite part of the room. Well, it's just it's like the high school story of the season 2 or the chapter 2 cast. Not the chapter 2 class, the second games class. And the whole Remnants of Despair thing. An old hanging scroll. I don't know. Right. And now let's look at the fax machine. Wow, a fax machine. It could send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I rarely find a use for it. All right, so I'm going to think one more time and then we're going to talk to this guy. My heart is still racing. This is it, my chance at long last. Let's look at Richter. Private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They say he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Ota City and saw how he dressed, I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like a reliable sort. Person of interest, let me see. You have something that was built in 1844? Good God. That's wild. Alright. Richter Kai, private investigator. The eccentric man that Shogo Okie ran into at Honji Bridge. Richter is actually a private investigator with an office in Ota City, Tokyo. After taking on a request from Harue Shijima to investigate the unsolved kidnappings and murder of her son, he gets caught up in the events surrounding the rite of resurrection. Once a police officer, Richter was racked with guilt over the police's inability to help all those in need, and quit the force to start his own private investigation firm. However, his soft-hearted nature leads him to take on too many cases and has put his office in dire financial straits. How he is still in business is a mystery. With some whispering that wealthy patron is keeping him afloat, Richter studied alongside Detective Jun Ario at the police academy. Jun Ario. Okay. That was the young police officer that I think we saw at the beginning, during the prologue at the park, I think. Somewhat surprising. Jun Ario, here he is. Yeah, it's a young detective. Richter studies somewhat surprisingly. Given his outlandish clothing and mannerisms, Richter excels at covert investigations, tailing his targets. He proudly refers to himself as an investigator extraordinaire, though that only ever succeeds at impressing himself. Richter's biggest source of happiness is nuzzling his pet female albino parakeet, Ernestine, which he keeps in his office. He also enjoys collecting mockingbird stickers, a popular line of merchandise featuring birds inexplicably dressed like delinquents, and can be frequently sighted searching around town for them. While out and about, Richter typically leaves the office, and more importantly, Ernestine, in the care of Amma Mori, a junior high schooler who volunteered to assist Richter after being involved in a previous case. Amma Mori. Amma Mori. Did we meet an Amma Mori yet? We did not meet an Amma Mori yet. Okay, now let's talk. Azur's Heron Agency. Azur Heron Agency. Ooh. Richter Kai's private investigation firm in Kamada, Ota City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simpler name, like Kai's detective agency. But upon hearing that, people are more likely to pick names listed at the front of the phone book alphabetically. He decided to pick a name with an A, thus Azur Heron Agency was established. However, it is questionable when the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than an azure heron, Richter keeps a white parrot as a pet and dresses not in blue but mostly in white. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as a private eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigation firms and inquiry firms might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiry offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interest and gaining information surreptitiously. Okay. Got it. Heron. Alright, let's finally talk to him. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out. And the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Interesting. Very interesting. So the haunting clapper's curse echo appeared out of nowhere. Told you how to perform the rite of resurrection and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. Have I got that right? That's right. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. Oh, that's why Richter asked Shigo if you had a lighter. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. I guess everybody in Japan smokes, so... But I guess I have to now. Oh, I saw the cursed stone appear in your hand myself. I looked like it popped clean out of thin air. Are clappers like the thing you see on film sets, like clack? With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. Heart still racing, okay, nothing new here. This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as the day. You just knew, huh? It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse echo's resentful memories. So I can feel it, what it was like. Oh. Dying like they did hundreds of years ago. Wreathed in flame, writhing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying a fire. I see. That could be a problem. You think so? From what I know of you... Oh, sure, you'd see it as an opportunity. The stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief, talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment and remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. Right. Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Let's talk. Let's talk, Richter. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigima. Oh yes, I remember. The Cotton Eye Joe song? Yeah, I did that on purpose. Because he phrased it like that. It's like where we come from or where we're going. And I was like, never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here about today. In fact, kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone and I've come up with a grand total of... 1 lead. Oh, we got a lead. So you say. As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I managed to make some headway. And remember, you were just about to tell me. Files updated. The Shigima kidnapping overview. Okay, here's what happened to Shigima. A kidnapping and murder case that took place in Honjo, Sumida around 1 year ago. Harue Shigima's son, Shuichi, age 11, was kidnapped on his way home from school, with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of as a simple extortion scheme, but when it came to light that the Shigima family was closely tied to the police, and Shuichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, Losing the public's confidence, the culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Haruo reached a breaking point. Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible. But her husband and father, who held the prestige of police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give him an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but this case has long gone cold. Okay. Nice. Okay. Oh, look at that. Shuichi Shigema. Sex male, elementary school student, curse echo none. The only son of Haruo Shigema. He was kidnapped and murdered 1 year ago and his body was discovered floating in the Sumida River. Isn't that how Shogo's body will be found in the future? Shuichi was a conscientious, brave young boy who was determined to protect his mother, Haruo, amid his father's frequent absences. He dreamed of becoming a police officer and displaying diligence and impressive sense of responsibility from a young age, likely due to being raised in an extremely strict environment. Born in the early 70s, okay, so it's the 80s right now, he spent his days immersed in various activities and studies, including playing piano, learning the abacus, taking English lessons, and training in kendo. Shuichi's tendency to put other people's needs over his own meant he died without ever telling his classmates how much he longed for them, for all to go out on a hunt for mockingbird stickers. Okay, let's keep talking. Let's talk. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I found, and then we can make a decision. Alright? You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Okay. Let's talk about the kidnapping. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Northern Oyoko River, here in Sumida City. That's quite a wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from. But it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive, since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. ... What is it? Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house, it's likely that he was abducted by a car on his route home. Maybe, but... Exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. He never would have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I knew he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible they forced him into the car. The only issue there is, there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not to be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So, did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper might have just gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? Kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into the car, but how? Alright, let's keep... The only thing that makes sense to me As if there was somebody that they would have reason to trust. Like, don't police... Who would it be, then? I don't know, we don't have enough information yet, but I'd just like to think about it. A teacher, perhaps, or a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But of all the adults Shuichi knew, had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. What if it wasn't somebody he knew, or rather... What if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? Oh... That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shijimi family has close ties with the police after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. But surely, they couldn't have. Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point after all. They're meant to be visible deterrent against crime. A visible deterrent about the right of resurrection. The right of resurrection, huh? I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Why does everybody have access to an occult magazine? What's going on? I love that nonsense, but like, I don't have a magazine subscription. I don't care about any of that stuff that much. I know it's all fake. Alright. Let's keep going. Okay. I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently, some old book showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say the right can be found somewhere in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about that. I felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope. Real hope for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that I'd done something differently. Shuichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though, I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the right. Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much he meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this right is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. Is that a problem? If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. Yeah, well, wow, turns out you are a decent dude. You're a little mysterious, but yeah. Oh, that's a shame. Shame, huh? That's all? I thought if I'm going to be competing with the other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this. That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? Sorry, it's tough to read the chat and read this out of. This is a very chatty game, and I have to like read every line. There's not much. There's like barely any voice acting, so I'm like not paying attention to the chat. What's it? You've been listening to the same song for the past week. What song? Raccoon, we demand. The audience demands to know what song. All right, let's keep going. I want to think some. Okay, let's not think anymore. Now let's keep going. If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. I'll pay you, or that's a shame. I'm going to say... I'll pay you. I'll pay you. How much can I give you to change your mind? Sorry, ma'am. but not everyone has a price. I've got my policies and I stick to them. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they filled it with soul dregs? If that was all you were after, then I could lend you my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well, then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just a warning, you know. My. Let's talk some more about my curse. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about the curse of yours? The Haunting Clappers, was it? That's one of the 7 mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curse makes their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. What if I used my curse as self-defense for when somebody else is trying to use their curse on me? Think about that. And if I remember correctly, your Haunting Clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. Seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. You really think it's that good? The target can't do much to throw it off. The target can't do much to throw it off, and it has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters too. Just slip one of them into your target's pocket. And say that condition you were already fulfilled before they even know you're there. They won't even know what hit them. Maybe I won't actually have to use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said. Threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second. At the last second? What an interesting idea. If I have a lighter right here. We could try it out. That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. Oh, I see. You're an odd one, ma'am. If you don't mind me saying, and I don't think it's just the curse. You flatterer. Let's talk about the curse some more. As for what we should do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Alright, now let's talk about the investigation. I got a message here. Okay. I'll deal with this message later. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I found, and then we can make a decision. Alright. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want to tell me what you want to do. Okay. And then we got one more. But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Huh. Even kids who'd been warned about stranger danger often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If say a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? Huh. Someone like that said they were lost and asked them for directions. Would he have gotten in a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. This is... I feel like this is like day one of an investigation. Like, they should have already factored all this stuff into whatever they were doing. But if Shuichi believed it, we might have something there. We might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman. But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have been an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize that she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize that she had anything to do with the case. Okay. Let's talk about the kidnapping some more. So the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? I thought you said you had a lead. This is a lousy lead. See, what I said about people's biases, that goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking you questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent the day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anybody had seen anything. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say for sure yet. It turned out he was wanted something from me, so I asked him if we could talk in private. Several hours earlier. Alright, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was your name again? Junuichi. Junuauchi. Got it. Well, Junuauchi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective agency, Shuichi Shigima's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course. What else do I look like? How should I know what a private detective looks like? Oh, forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. Huh? You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Life's in danger. Let me ask you straight. Who's trying to kill you? He's at the bridge right now. A student called Michio Shirashi. Interesting. Schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. Michio Shirashi. Is that a character? No. No. Alright. Sounds like you've been naughty. Yeah. It looks like somebody from... Yeah, it looks like somebody from... past era. Is nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shirashi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shigima. What? Excuse me? I saw her talk to him on the street that led him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but when he went missing... But then he went missing. She murdered him, I'm sure of it, or at least she's got something to do with it. And you didn't mention anything to the police, bro? You should have said something, like, day one. Ah, that's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me. If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anybody? Well, you see... If you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl I had you scared for your life. So you've been sitting on all this? You've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you spilled the beans. Yes, that's it. Exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get me. Arrest her, I'm telling you, she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Huh. Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're losing me here? It's true. Her house, it's... I forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I shouldn't have known you'd never understand. Enough. I'll find someone else to help me. Ooh. Hey. What the heck, man? And we're back. And that's about that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk. But I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Then, if we could just find that girl... Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, then there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name is Kohei Junichi. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. A teacher? Then this schoolgirl is one of his students. I think that's very likely. Huh. At last, we've got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. Alright, so, last. Right then, have you decided on what you want me to working on? Help me with the right, or investigate the kidnapping? Let's investigate the kidnapping. Yeah, that's true. Finally, I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son. Your wish is my command, ma'am. No, it's a good way to keep people together all day long. Stories that take place in school. Everybody's about similar age. And it's like one of those touchstones that people can relate to. I'll focus all my efforts onto looking into the kidnapping. Although something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers? Alright, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before the morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up and I can start asking questions, I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try to find Mrs. Shirashi as a part of the bargain. Shiraishi. Thank you. That's more than enough. Right now then, let's get out of here. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You can stay here and keep a lookout. Alright. There's no telling what kind of curses you might find out on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can't help it. Try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, that's all. I should get going. Ooh. A nice thought. I say we check out what's going on here. Honest. I want to go to the next scene here. Summary of previous events. Despite having obtained the curse of the haunting clappers, Harue Shigemi is determined to use the Rite of Resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. Harue Shigema, 1 a.m. Shigema Mansion Reception Room. It's almost an hour since Richter left. Reception room, I'm taking it, that's like a living room area. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. Okay. Flowers put me at ease. More stereo. Yeah, we saw that already. Keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. We got a TV. Got a clock. We have a fax machine. That newspaper looks new. Hanging scroll, blah, 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 blah. Chandelier. And let's check out this newspaper. What's this? A newspaper? Must have fallen out of the chair. I want to read it. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Look at the society articles. It looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it made my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. Okay, let's read this paper some more. Economy, all sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that all the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving on into an era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height, and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and a television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Look at the culture. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. But now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Japanese doesn't have subtitles? Yes, I do. That's funny. Alright, ooh, there's a guest table. Alright. Now, let's look at the more education articles. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. Country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. More people in the running than ever. The competition to get in those universities has gotten fierce, though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. All right. Let's look at the television. I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it was happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. The My Hero Academia guy was big into Spider-Man and Marvel. Yeah, the influence definitely shows. Now that comedy boom is over, all the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Okay. Let's go back to the society articles. If there's one thing Honjo... Whoa, 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 whoa. I missed that line. What was it? What was it? What was it? What was it? If there's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore, not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Alright, let's look at the economy. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. City center is going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. Culture articles. I hear the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short lives now, shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old. If young people who are leading the way with the modern worldview, my generation will only fall further behind. Alright. Suicide at local high school. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. Jeez, you're just mentioning this now? She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure? Huh. What? But... no, this can't be right. Her name? Michiyo Shirashi from Komagata High School. It can't be. What? Let me think. Same girl. But that means Mr. Junichi was terrified of someone who has already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I? We have a phone. We have a phone right here, right? Yeah, here we are. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. That must be him. Let's answer it, baby. Hello? Shigima residence. Harue Shigima. 2 a.m. Komagata Bridge. Oh, wow, she left, huh? Oh, she didn't leave. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Oh, wow. Richter, is there something... there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. Okay. Let's look around. We're on Komagata Bridge over the Sumida River. There's a highway on the side of the freeway. There's a highway on the... okay, sorry, one second. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. Alright, let's see. Komagata Bridge, one of the bridges spanning the Sumida River, completed in 1927 as part of the reconstruction effort following the Great Kanto earthquake. It is notable both for its distinctive blue arches and cutting edge, for the time, techniques used in its construction. There are many bridges stretching across the Sumida River, each boasting a unique structural form and design. Okay. Ooh, there's another mockingbird. Number 18. That is a flamingo. Mockingbird. Okay, approach the net, flamingo. Approach the net, approach the net, approach the net. I want to see it. Let me get a bigger... there you are. Revisiting the park at night. Okay. Okay, surroundings. Oh, Sumida River. The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Right. Should have guessed. This is where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I could think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since. And I prayed to the river to give him back. To give me back my son. Day after day. You know, in olden times, people believed that rivers marked where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. Same place would later become Honjo. Alright, okay. That was weird. It muted itself. But then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Mariki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from farmland into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers, and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore, and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the 7 mysteries and their curses have survived to modern day. And I guess that would make this spot we're standing now, right over the water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking aloud, ma'am. Well, it's a nice thought. Open up the Sumida River, a Class A river that is part of the Arakawa River system, which runs through much of the eastern Tokyo and empties into Tokyo Bay. During the Edo period, Sumida's riverbanks played a key role in the transportation of lumber used for construction. In addition to its logistical importance, it was also a place for the common folk to gather and enjoy activities such as seasonal flower viewing or river bathing, and there existed many woodblock prints depicting such activities. The area became plagued with sewage issues when the surrounding environs were industrialized in the post-war period, but the situation has improved since. Many unique bridges span the Sumida River, including the Ryogoku and Azumabashi bridges, which attract a large number of visitors as sightseeing spots. Massive fireworks displays in the summer are also always sure to draw a crowd. The river has served as a cornerstone for both the city and its people, having both aided in its development and serving as an inspiring backdrop for countless works of art and literature. Okay, now let's get to chatting. Victor Kai is gazing down the water. What does he see down there, I wonder? I'll go first. Is there something I need to tell you? What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shirashi? The one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping? That's her... Well... She's dead. She's what? Student who committed suicide last week. That was her. I heard something like that had happened. Never got the name though. Talk about bad luck. We finally got a lead, only to find it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Junichi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? Revenge from what? Oh. It seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. The teacher knows something. I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Mrs. Shirachi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. What? In any case, I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. Give me 1 second, please. I think I can make this better for... our friends. Okay, there. Maybe that's better. Okay, maybe that is better. Who knows? Just making it easier for our vertical viewers. Okay. In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch? Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? I couldn't say. I'm just an ordinary housewife. I'm not clever enough for all this. Are you sure? I had you down for sharper than that. That's flattering, but I'm afraid you're mistaken. Anyway, that's enough speculation for now. The truth will out in time. Right now, I think we have to have another chat with Mr. Junichi. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. I must have been about 20 years now when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. What? Oh, Raccoon, you're right. He is only wearing one glove, isn't he? I'm not sure why. Yeah, I guess. It was almost a miracle when you stop to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? That, although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have been an identifiable scar. And they could tell it had been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wait. Are you talking about the Nejima murders? Nejima? So you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time. I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. Alright. Let me see. Umichika Nejima. Whoa. Sex, male, self-employed. The man who made headlines over 2 decades ago as the perpetrator of the brutal killings known as the Nejima murders. Oh, wow. He's unsettling looking. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found the pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterward, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny, everyone figures the river is filthy already, so one more piece of garbage wouldn't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't go rooting around down there myself. That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so was the killer thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seems to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from the homes to make it to the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it into the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after, Fumichika Najima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime. And people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end. But the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. Yeah, well, wasn't your son found in this river too, right? That's very creepy. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason why you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders. Well, he did kill your friend. But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. That's true. Oh. Police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. Ah. I guess it wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. Now let's talk to Sumida River again. Sumida River. I have nothing but awful memories of it. Okay. Are you done talking about the Sumida River? Okay, good. Is that it? Okay. Now, let's get back to the case. Let's get back to this case. Please go ahead. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries looking for curse bearers. And I think I've found a few candidates. First, the tall man I ran into in Kinoshobi Park. That's not a candidate. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the question right back around on me. And he was out of there the second he figured out I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. And then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on the south of Warigusi Street. Alright, how do I pronounce this friggin' war? It's Warigasui. Oh, I already looked this up yesterday, right? Warigasui. Wow. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on the south Warigasui Street. This is the darkness power guy, I'm guessing. There's no question about this one. He had one of the cursed stones in his hand. He had a nervous air about him too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair, a young man and a woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. It's 1 AM. All these people are out. This time, the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often, looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea if you can make it work. But with things being how they are, it's gotta be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. And the last two detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved? Not necessarily. A body turned up in the local park just a few days ago, so they might be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. But don't you know this other detective there, Richter? Richter, you should know this guy, shouldn't you? You should know both of them. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then there's something's got to be up. How do you know where they were from? Let's just say that when you're in this business, they got the faces you get to know. Yep. Anyway, that's everyone who caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best. Solid name. Ma'am, Victor Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai, Investigator Extraordinaire. My, an Investigator Extraordinaire. Is that why you dress up like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet. An Investigator Extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising, am I right? Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. Seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there are still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, they'll get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, our chance will come. Something wrong? Not really, it just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Nejima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Huh? Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's a precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only if they found to show remorse and desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right. I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I hear they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities, so they won't be recognized in the workplace. My, the way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Najimi could be out on parole right now, back in society under a new name with nobody any the wiser. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few minutes back. I don't know if that was Najima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too. What was that? I was passing Komagata High School a little while ago and I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Najima. Oh? He looked a little different after 20 years? Much thinner than I remember too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all. That one girl that we killed, what was her name? No, Yuta Namagami, Takuma Yokimi, no. Where did she go? Do we not? Where's the schoolgirl? Anyway, whatever schoolgirl. She was like running, she had a lot of soul dregs in her, she had a lot of soul dregs that she absorbed. So maybe she did kill Najima. And she was running and she ran into Shogo. Possibly. Yeah, Shoko. Is that her name? I forgot her name already. Why is it so hard? It's Shogo and Shoko. Najima murders overview. Oh, right. A notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murders of a female high school student. So, he strikes female high school students. It could be possible. Could be possible. I might be... It first came to the attention of the authorities that when part of a human left hand was discovered floating in the Sumida River, testing revealed it to belong to a missing female high school student. As it appears to have been severed deliberately, the police launched a murder investigation. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor, the stench was intense, and the divers quickly fell ill. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head and what appeared to be the part of her leg before the search was called off. At the time of the incident, the Sumida River was polluted as it had never been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public. Several other young women had gone missing in recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground to a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During a questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Najima, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. An investigation into his background was concluded, leading to his arrest. Najima testified that he had snatched his victims from the street and confined her in the underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious. As she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way inwardly, slowly, and methodically. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss. Najima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Sumida River, before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Once apprehended, Najima readily divulged the details of the murder, but was less willing to explain his motive. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me. I know it was wrong." In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggests that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence came to light. Najima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant. Whoa. That's rough, man. The big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearers will come all the way here to finally have a moment to think. I see. Alright. Alright. Let's suspend. Oof. Alright. That was a good episode. Lots of stuff happened. Alright. I think the next 2 parts, I originally planned to finish these two. I don't think it's going to happen tonight. So we will continue on another time. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I'll be seeing you guys later. No, I'm just kidding. I've been